I think that the main learnings from the Brazilian experience in this field, food nutrition security, including the work of our council, CONSEA, there are two main learnings. The first is that the promotion of food and nutrition sovereignty and security, and also the promotion of the human right to food, it depends on having a bunch of programs. They are all multidimensional challenges that you will never, you could never solve them based in only one instrument. So food and nutrition security has many dimensions, and the best way of tackling them is having integrated programs, putting together different sectors of the government in a way that they will have to share their targets, share their resources, and share their goals. And the second learning has to do with social participation. We strongly believe that nowadays there is no more place for this sort of technocratic view of public policies. Public policies must be based on mechanisms allowing social organizations to participate in the very making of these policies, but also in monitoring them and controlling. Monitoring and social control, they are crucial for having good public policies. That is, public policies that could achieve, could reach the ones that are in mostly need of these policies. The first thing is adopting a vision, an approach, considering that climate change has to do the vulnerability. Climate change has to do with social vulnerability, not only environmental vulnerability. So that means that strategies to reduce the vulnerability to climate change, in some sense, they coincide. They overlap. They are overlapped with strategies related to poverty, related to facing the condition that makes people vulnerable socially, and this social vulnerability is part of the determinants of the environmental vulnerability. This is first. The second is taking seriously what the models, what the climatologists, what they are saying about the expectations to the semi-arid region. That the semi-arid will be probably one of the most affected regions in terms of the impacts of the climate change. And then the question is very complex, because in the case of the poor families or the rural families in semi-arid, they have first to regain the capacity to produce their own food. The self-food, the food production for self-consumption is quite important in rural families, especially in semi-arid or where you have poor rural families. And this capacity to produce their own food is in danger. Is already in danger for many restrictions that they have in terms of the quality of land, etc. And that could be worse in the future. The third has to do with the production, the market production, and this is the way why they got their money. And in this case, the question is also complex, because if what is being expected, if it happens, the possibilities to produce in the semi-arid will change in terms of what products they will be able to keep on producing. And I'm talking also about one of the main food that they used to have there, which is manual, which could be compromised with climate change. So even if you think higher in terms of self-consumption or production for the market, I think that the situation is quite complex, and it's gonna be necessary to set in place immediately some programs adapted to this new situation. I mean, the traditional instruments such as the credit, is the way they are functioning now. Perhaps they will not be adequate anymore. So you have to adjust the agricultural credits, just to give an example. So this is the way I take this. I mean, besides the question of the water, that is always there, and it's going to be worse, still worse, in face of climate change. You have this whole issue of producing the food for self-consumption and being able to keep on producing for the markets. And as you know, as most people know, in Brazil, the family farmer, they have an important role in providing food for our domestic market. In some products, they represent around 70% of what we eat in Brazil. That's why it's quite important thinking in the people of the semi-arid region, not only in terms of their own situation, but also in their role in providing food for the society.